Welcome to our historic Bridge Street here in the Ashtabula Harbor. There's going to be a lot of excitement here for the next 2 years on Bridge Street. This summer we're going to start with our improvements. First off with a new parking lot, a public parking lot here in Bridge Street, which is going to add about 50 spots, which are desperately needed, as you can see today. That project we hope to start in June or July and hope to finish up before the last festival that we have down here. The other projects we're going to do in 2015, we're going to restore the steps leading up to Point Park from Bridge Street. That will be a combination project with Aqua, who's going to replace a main water line that runs through that hill. And secondly, we're going to redo the north side of Holbert Hill. We're going to put new brick down to eliminate all the bumps and bruises you get on that hill, and that'll also give better access to our second public parking lot on Bridge Street. The other things you'll see this summer, a lot of the businesses down here, through that same grant that we were afforded, can receive up to $10,000 in a grant to do facade improvements on their buildings or to do any kind of upgrades to their code, to bring their buildings up to code and to spruce up their buildings. We're really excited about all the progress down here. My staff has done an outstanding job of securing this grant, monitoring this grant, and the businesses down here, with all the investment they have put into the harbor, it's really going to be a special place after these next 2 years. We had several people working on this grant. A lot of the merchants down here assisted us with the projects that they're doing, so we can use that, showing the progress that's being made down here. Mary Church, our project coordinator out of the Planning and Community Development Department, as well as the director, Luciana Ratterman, really spent a lot of time on this. We also had the assistance of our engineer, the GPD group, and the Pogemeyer group, monitoring a lot of these projects, giving us good information to apply for this grant. And we were one of very few communities that not were only awarded 1 but 2 grants through this program this year. It's really been the entrepreneurial spirit down here. It's been a lot of young entrepreneurs that have come back home. A lot of them are original city residents. They've come back, they've seen the possibilities that are down here, and they've run with that. With the assistance of the NEO group that is helping develop business plans and loans out of here. There's just been a lot of excitement, and then of course when you think about the 3 main festivals that we have down here, they have just drawn a lot of people to our area. We average anywhere between 10,000 and 12,000 visitors during these festivals, and those people are coming back when it's not as busy to enjoy what we have. Restaurants are now booming down here, and so it's really become a regional destination for tourism, which was the original goal for Bridge Street. And believe it or not, this all started many years ago when I was at the Chamber, when that lift bridge went straight up in the air and was out of service for almost 18 months. All the groups in the harbor got together and all the businesses and said, how are we going to attract people to the harbor and keep our businesses going? And this is what's developed from it. I always get asked that question, why can't we do the same thing downtown? And the biggest factor that we have for Bridge Street is there are a lot of local owners. A group got together and just said, you know what, we're going to start buying these buildings, we're going to control these buildings, we're going to look for the tenants that we want in them, we're going to set a rate. And unlike on Main Avenue, where you have a lot of absentee landlords, or they're in Las Vegas or all different places, we don't have the direct contact that we do on Bridge Street. And because they're local and because they are invested down here, they watch their properties, they know what's going on, and they help us to keep this place beautiful.
From 1898 to 1960, this building was a butcher named Thomas Rennick. And when we came in, we saw that we still had the facade of the old walk-in, the meat hooks hanging, a lot of the original tile, like 130 years old. So we decided, let's keep that same feel and I don't know how to say it, and kind of like revive the butcher.
The atmosphere?
Yeah, keep the same atmosphere and keep the same vision alive of what it was for so many years. So we decided to keep the name and go with Rennick Meat Market and create like a butcher-inspired American restaurant. Yeah, we started renovating in October.
So tell us a bit of your backgrounds as far as...
Okay, so I was born and raised in New York. I started cooking when I was 15, working in New York restaurants, so...
Are you in New York City? Or?
New York City, okay. Yeah, in Manhattan. Trained under a French chef from Saint-Tropez, who really ingrained into the love of food and of fresh ingredients and it's more about what you don't put on the plate than what you do put on the plate, keeping it minimalistic and letting the flavors of each ingredient come out by itself. Yeah, my whole life has been in the restaurant business. I started out as dishwasher and moved up, and that's what I love to do.
And I'm from Ohio, from the Youngstown area, from Poland. I've always wanted to cook, grew up in the kitchen cooking, but I kind of started later in life. So about 7-8 years ago, I went to culinary school in Miami. Actually met him in Miami. He was my executive chef, so that's kind of how we got introduced. And then together we went from Miami to Nicaragua, and we opened up a resort and spa there. And then from there moved to New York City. So I was a cook in my first New York City restaurant. And then after that, a year later, turned sous chef. So then worked under worked under a chef in New York City, helped him open up his restaurant, and from there we ended up here in Ohio.
Natural progression from Nicaragua to New York City to Ashtabula.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so Miami, high population, Nicaragua, low, New York, high, Ashtabula, low. Yeah.
My dad invited me up here for a weekend because he wanted to show me his house.
So he lives in Ashtabula.
He actually lives in Poland, but he bought a house here.
Okay.
So just as like a little vacation home, and you know, I just came to visit, and then we were walking here having dinner one night, and we saw this building was for sale, and we had been talking to him, I guess for probably a good 6 months to a year, to kind of like asking him like, you know, okay, we want to open a restaurant, would he be willing to invest? So finally he was willing to invest in something if we were more close to home, close to him. So.
That and opening up a restaurant in New York, you need like $2 million at least to start. Yeah.
And so you live upstairs, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Big on knowing where our food comes from and what's in it, so that's why we like to do a lot of it ourselves.
And a lot of freshness, like we will not bring in frozen fish, you know, and we'll bring in seasonal vegetables. Our menus will be changing seasonally just to kind of, you know, give the public fresh seasonal food.
Yeah, and we'll be using a lot of local purveyors and dealing with people from the farmers market. Try to keep the stuff local. This used to be the ice box that they used to use in the 1800s to store their meat and their ice that they'd use for the ships. So we're changing it from the old ice box into our second dining room. And this ceramic tile is probably 130 years old. It's original. A lot of them were beaten up, so what we did was we took out the broken and faded ones and found a place in California that makes similar tiles and replaced those.
We're at 1023 Bridge Street. Hopefully, I think we're still on track for this summer. Fitzgerald's will be opening up. This is going to be a wine bar that's going to be brought to Bridge Street, and it's a great story here where I mentioned the festivals that we have. We had two ladies that were from the Youngstown area who were up here for one of the festivals, just loved the atmosphere and loved the energy that was down here, and saw one of the last buildings that we had unoccupied and that needed remodeled. They're putting quite a bit of an investment into this building. We've been working with them on tax abatement and different programs to help them get open, and we're really excited for this addition to Bridge Street. Just behind me over the mound here is where we're going to be installing the new public parking lot, which I said was going to be right around 50 to 60 spots for Bridge Street. It's going to be a huge addition to Bridge Street. We've actually been working with the Windstream Communications to remove the poles that you see on the sidewalk. They're actually going to move the wires over to the other side of the road for us. We're going to be replacing a lot of this sidewalk, so it'll be a better, more functional area. It'll be nicely landscaped, and the harbor through the CDC will be putting in some of the lighting for us and assisting us with the project as well.
When is that going to be?
We want that to take place this summer. We're really excited about that. It's a very much needed down here, this extra parking. So we're going to do our best to try to get that done this summer. We divided it up based on the projects that we thought we could get accomplished. The parking lot was a big priority for us, so we decided to do that year one. The street is going to take a little bit more engineering, so we decided to hold that off until year two. And we didn't want that much construction down here to block off traffic to the businesses. So that's how we divided those up in phases. And that grant, actually, we have 2 years to spend the money. So that's why we decided to do it this way.
How much money are we talking?
It's over $700,000 that we'll be investing in Bridge Street.